Yo, what's up people? Welcome back to another Apex guide. You guys voted for Valkyrie. Well, it was a tie, but I had more Valkyrie clips anyway, so let's just say that she won. I got a real love-hate relationship with Valkyrie. I love her movement, she's extremely fun to play, but if you're really trying to win games, all of the other mobility characters are much better options. She doesn't excel in any one area. She does a little bit of offense, recon, and mobility, and on paper this sounds good, but it's why I think the other legends are better. Their entire kit specializes in mobility, and her kit can't compete with those legends since it's just a mix of other classes. So if you want somebody fun to play when you need a break from playing your main legends, Valkyrie is a good choice. She's normally my go-to fun character. So here are her abilities. Her tactical is a missile swarm, her passive is the VTOL jet, which I'll just call her jetpack, and her ultimate is the skyward dive. Starting with her tactical, this launches 12 missiles in a 4x3 layout. You can aim these up to 100 meters away, but the closest distance is about 10 to 15 meters away from you. The missiles work like arc stars and stun enemies if they get hit, and do 25 damage on the first hit and 3 damage for every missile that hits after. So the damage kind of stacks like 25 plus 3 plus 3, and then it goes on. So if that's easier to understand. And the cooldown for this ability is 30 seconds. Quick side note, she also counts as a recon legend, so you can use the survey beacons to find the next ring on the map. Her passive activates by pressing the jump button once you're in the air, and when you turn off her jetpack, there's a 1 to 2 second animation before you can use your weapons again. To the right is the fuel gauge, and each time you activate the jet, that initial burst will use 12% of your fuel instantly, and then it'll slowly burn afterward. The fuel refills after 8 seconds of you not using the jets. But if you use all of the fuel, you can stay up for about 7 seconds, and then it takes 10 seconds to refill the entire tank. So that's an 18-second cooldown if you use all of your fuel and then wait for a full refill. While using jetpack, if you don't move the analog or press any keys if you're on PC, Valk will fly straight up, and pressing the ADS button will allow you to hover and fly in any direction while staying at that height, so kinda like with Crypto's drone. I don't know if this counts as her second passive, but I'm still going to include it anyway. When free falling, Valkyrie has this fighter jet looking HUD. It doesn't matter if you got off a jump tower, got respawned, or you use your ult. Once you go into that free fall skydive state, you'll see this HUD pop up. With this HUD, any enemies that are in a 250 meter line of sight, they'll get spotted, and teammates attached to you will also see these pings. And the good thing is the enemies won't know they've been highlighted like with Bloodhound or Crypto Scan. Valkyrie's ultimate skyward dive just makes her a walking jump tower, to be honest. If you press the alt button, she goes into this pose, and when you're like this, your teammates can press the interact button to attach themselves to you before you take off. After you press the launch button, there's actually a 2-second charge up before you start moving. You can cancel your ult by pressing the alt button again, which is going to put your charge back to 75%. It's also going to get cancelled automatically if you start taking damage from people shooting at you. And the last thing is that you won't be able to use this ability if you don't have a clear view of the sky right above you. So yeah, you gotta be outside and in an open area. And the cooldown for this ability is 3 minutes. Everyone seems to like that I combined the gameplay tips and the how to play parts into one section in my last guide, so I'll just keep doing that from now on. So on the gameplay tips, starting with her tactical, the missile swarm. Think of this ability as having 12 arc stars. Apply grenade logic when you're using her tactical, so it's good for using against people behind cover. They're either gonna run from behind that cover to avoid getting hit, or they'll stay, get hit, tank that damage, but they get stunned, and then you can push up and start attacking. It's a win-win for you either way, or you can use this as a short deterrent to keep people back for a few seconds. So if people are chasing you, just launch this at a choke point to keep them back. It's actually pretty easy to mess up and overshoot the rockets and miss your target, so the best way to aim with this, since there's no crosshair, is to use the second row. Make sure the first row is in front of the cover. The second, third, and fourth row of missiles will hit the top or behind that piece of cover. For the easiest way to hit people though, just get some height using her jets and rain the missiles from above, since you see where the rockets land clearly. So like I said, the same scenarios you'd use grenades, use her tactical. Trying to use this mid-gunfight does not work. It doesn't do enough damage to kill people. You can't aim it right in front of you either, and you can't use this ability quickly, so you'll end up dying if you panic and try to use this if someone's right in front of you. If you panic and think you might die, rely on your jets and not your tactical. The other thing is, just like her ult, there's a height clearance for the tactical, so you can't use this in most buildings because the ceiling is so low. And the buildings where the roof is high enough that, lets you use these missiles, most of the time they just end up hitting the roof anyway because the missiles kind of go high in the air before they come down, so it kind of doesn't really make sense using the tactical indoors. And another reason you don't want to use the missiles in areas with low height clearance is because if they explode close to you, you can actually get damaged and stunned as well. I've died to it a couple times. Not proud, but I learned my lesson, so I'm just telling you. Now onto her passive, and this is going to take up most of the video because this is what makes Valkyrie so fun. So the first tip is actually choosing how you control her passive. If you don't know, you can go into the settings and change the jetpack activation from being toggle to hold. So instead of double tapping, you just press and hold, and once I switched to hold instead of toggle, I started playing her a lot better. It's all personal preference, so mess around and see which option you like better. A good Valkyrie is annoying and hard to kill, and a bad Valkyrie you can easily shoot out the sky and watch them hit the ground like a ton of bricks. So I'm going to show you how to be a good Valkyrie. The first thing is throttle control. I see people just turn on their jets and use all of their fuel to get somewhere that's far. Valk flies at a 45-degree angle if you're going forward and using the jets, so you tend to go higher more so than going forward. So instead of doing that to cover distances, just turn on the jets for 2 seconds and then off and repeat. Think of it like doing a wave. At the low points, hit the jets, and when you get high enough, turn them off. So this is normally how I get around with Valkyrie, and also to close the gap between you and enemies, just a few quick jet boosts. And it can take you kind of far, and most of the time you get to people faster than they expect. Next is the most important move that keeps you alive and gives you the upper hand in fights. Most characters can make themselves hard to hit by ducking or bobbing and weaving, but Valkyrie is special because she can do it while in the air. Air dodging or air strafing, whatever you want to call it, this is going to save you. And it's super easy, just jump and do a quick move to the left or right to throw off your enemy's aim. But it has to be short. Trust me, that quick boost is enough to throw off people. You don't want to hold it down because then you'll start flying, and you move a little slower after that initial burst when you activate the jets. But this move is really effective in 1v1s. You're kind of almost untouchable. So because Valkyrie isn't as good in all situations like the other mobility legends, you should know which areas you're strongest in, so here they are. Unlike the other mobility legends, Valkyrie isn't great in 3v1 scenarios, but if you can break up that squad and deal with them 1v1, the odds are in your favor. Like I just said, she's really good in 1v1s because you can air strafe and get around quickly. Next, areas with buildings. These areas can make you really annoying because of how fast you can get around from the top of one building to the next, and also you can get from the ground to the roof and back pretty quickly. How fast she can relocate and get on top of tall structures makes her very strong. So those are your strong suits: 1v1s, air strafing, quickly relocating, and areas with buildings. Now, Horizon is the only person in the game who can avoid fall stun. Well, she was. So here's a handy tip: right before you hit the ground, just tap the jets to reduce your fall speed, and now you can avoid that annoying fall stun. And lastly, here's what not to do to avoid being a bad Valkyrie. When it comes to being in the air, your movement needs to be unpredictable. So first, avoid hovering because you're an easy, slow moving target and you'll be shot down. Next, if you're doing the throttle jump, try to switch up how high and low you go. If you're moving up and down at the same height, it's easy to predict your flight path and shoot you down. So drop really low sometimes or go really high before you drop down. Never drop in a straight line also. Again, if people can predict your flight path, you're dead. This one is a pet peeve, but you don't have to use your jets everywhere you go. I hate teammates that do this. Valkyrie is the loudest character in the game. You hear all of her abilities from very far away and you know exactly who it is. If you're pushing up on a team and they're unaware you're about to push them, for the love of God, please do not use your jetpack. They will instantly know you're coming and from which direction. After the fight starts, sure, you can fly around as much as you want. I can't tell you the amount of times I've had to drop on a team and lost that advantage because a teammate decided to boost up a flight of stairs instead of just running. Yeah, flying is fun, but you don't have to use it for everything. If enemies are at the top of a building and they know you're here, do not try to go up there. Again, you're very low. They'll just be waiting for you to get to the top, and with that 2-second animation after you land, you can't really fight back. So just remember how low you are, so try not to do anything predictable. You cannot get the surprise on anyone if you're playing Valkyrie. Now onto her ultimate, and there aren't much tips for this since it only does one thing. Again, you're just a walking jump tower. It's good for escaping or for traveling pretty far, so there are only 2 tips here. First, use it behind cover, since taking damage can stop your ult. If you're trying to escape, you don't want the enemies to stop you by just shooting at you. And secondly, tell your team when you're going to use your ult so they know to come to you and be ready to leave. Because for some reason, whenever you ping your ult is ready and spam the over here ping, it's always one person that never gets the memo that you're ready to leave. So just give them a heads up that you're going to use your ult. And when it comes to her other passive, this is good for scouting the area where people are. So if you're looking for a fight, you can use it to land close to other people, or you can also use it to avoid landing close to people if you don't want to take fights. And that's how you play Valkyrie. As usual, if you think I left out any useful tips, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, share it around, and subscribe for more Apex Legends content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.